So let's switch gears for a minute. And instead of importing products, I'm going to show you how you can import a sales order into Magento using Dataflow. So let's start off by looking at our test import data. And you'll see it's simply a CSV with all sorts of order information, such as customer name, the product SKU and quantity, and shipping and billing info. So that's pretty simple. Let's take a look at the actions XML of our profile. So I've changed the actions XML a little bit. We're still using the curl adapter and the CSV parser. However, our adapter that's being used by the batch process is going to be a new adapter we create in our example module. So this converted after sales order is going to look something like this. And it needs to extend from the Dataflow abstract adapter. And we need to override the load and save functions to avoid any errors. But the real function we want to work with is the save row function. The save row function is what's going to get run by the CSV parser for every row of that data set. So our function's getting past the import data, which is an array representation of each row in our CSV. We're going to see everything keyed by the column names, so this should be very simple to work with. So in order to programmatically create this order, we need to first make a quote. Quote is essentially the staging ground for the order. Think of it like your shopping cart. Every shopping cart on the front end has a quote saved in the database tracking what items are in the cart, the shipping, the billing address, and the payment method. So we're first going to add the store information and customer information to the quote. You can see I'm using a combination of a get batch params function and the import data. What get batch params is going to do is allow me to access any of the variables in my Dataflow profile. So get batch params store is going to return 1. So that sets the store ID on my quote. Proceeding through the function, I need to add the product data to the quote. This is pretty simple. I just need to load the product by SKU and then use the quote's add product function and pass along the quantity that I want added to the cart. Next comes shipping address. Shipping address is pretty standard, setting all the information. There's some gotchas around region and country. Make sure you set the country ID, not set country. And also there's some gotchas with the shipping method and description, and especially with setting shipping rates. So I'm actually going to comment this out for now and show you what happens when that is not set. Billing address is pretty straightforward. You just set all the pertinent data, and it's very similar to the shipping address, except you don't need to worry about methods and shipping rates. And lastly, the payment method can be set in this way. All right, before I explain what's happening in the rest of the function, I'm going to go ahead and run our Dataflow profile. So let's make sure this is saved. And then we're going to run the profile. And remember, I commented out that one area in the shipping logic where I was setting or flag to collect the shipping rates. And what happens is we get this error. And it's pretty cryptic because it looks like we already set the shipping method up here. However, this has something to do with the way we convert a quote to an order. And what we're using is called a service model that Magento provides. It's kind of like a wrapper for making this conversion process pretty much a one-liner. So this service quote, what we're doing is we're calling the function submit all. And what submit all does is it takes the quote that's attached to this service object and it runs all these different calculations on it, and then it submits the order. And then the submit order function does some more stuff. So this is all converting a quote to an order. So the error that we're getting says specify a shipping method. But it looks like we did. So why is it saying that? So here's where the error is being thrown, and it's attempting to validate our quote and failing. And I can tell you for a fact, you can test this by Mage logging. It definitely has a method set, and what it's missing is the rates. This is the key to getting those rates. We need to set the collect shipping rates flag to true. And when this is set to true, somewhere in the Magento backtrace function is being run and it's looking for this flag. And if this flag is set to true, it's going to populate the database with all sorts of shipping rates. And it actually goes so far as to store them in the database here. Even though this is the flat rate, it's going to put an entry here saying the price is $10 for this address ID 61, and you could trace these foreign keys all the way back to our quote and see that it relates to the quote that we're attempting to convert into an order. So hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, with this flag set and everything saved, this submission should now work. Let's refresh our profile runner. And no errors. That sounds good. Let's take a look at the sales orders. It looks like I've got my orders into the system.